Hello again, everybody. My name is Jimmy the Saint. Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. We've completed an orbit and been successful with that. I skipped ahead a lot, did a lot of science and research and all of that to skip ahead and show you guys my trip to the moon. Now, that's what I wanted to do next. So, all I'm going to do, I'll show you guys quickly the ship I built to get there. Start with a command module. Add a parachute to it, of course. And then I want a Science Junior underneath that to collect scientific data near the moon, and a service bay. And the service bay you want to open, and you can store things inside there that would, if you were on the outside of the aircraft, might get damaged or burn up upon reentry and or exit. Also, it can, I don't know if it affects the aerodynamics that much, but it makes sense to me. So I'm going to put a barometer in there. Actually, the first thing I want to put in here is a battery. I'll show you guys that in a bit. Battery, I'm just going to put it right in the center, rechargeable battery. That way it's not on the outside of the craft. And I'm going to need 2 solar panels to power that thing. So I'm just going to stick them on the side. Right there looks like a good spot, and I am placing 2. Use the symmetry mode to place 2 with 1 click right there on the side of it there. I'll put 1 on either side. Okay, so we got our batteries. Now we can put our scientific data instruments in here. Got a barometer I want to collect data with. Let's put it on the bottom. Oh, I only need 1 of those. Got that, and let's get a thermometer on the other side, and a mystery goo containment unit. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I think it's just the developers being cute, being funny, but it's a scientific experiment you can perform in space and collect data on. So we've got that finished. Now we need a heat shield for our re-entry, because all of this we want to bring back. All of our experiments and data we want to bring back. Where is it at? It's in the aerodynamics. Heat shield. Okay, so that heat shield will protect us upon re-entry. And lastly, we'll need a decoupler to separate the return, from everything else, all the rest of the craft. So we're going to need a couple of fuel tanks. I'm using my largest liquid fuel tanks here, and we need an engine. We need a highly efficient engine for space. The Terrier here is the most efficient that I currently have, and you can see its efficiency over here. This is its maximum thrust in orbit. It's actually pretty. On the surface, it's actually pretty terrible, but it's thrust and efficiency in space or vacuum is pretty efficient. It's 345, and it's only 85 in the atmosphere. So it's not something you want to use until you get into space. So we've got to get this craft into space, and to do that, we're going to need a little more fuel and a little more rockets. So, need a decoupler first. Separate the rest of the craft that we're building now. Okay, so a couple more fuel tanks. And another engine. Let's see. The Reliant is the most efficient I believe I have right now. Yeah. Well, the Skipper is more efficient, but it's just gigantic. I'll show it to you really quick. When you put it on the craft, it's huge and it distorts the aerodynamics. It's for a larger spacecraft, larger rocket. So we're just going to use the Reliant, and that will get us pretty much what we need. We will need a booster to carry us the rest of the way, but let's add some aerodynamics to it real quick. Some winglets. Let's throw 4 of those on here, like that. Yep, that's how I want that. And then we'll need a couple more engines, radial decouplers for those. We'll need 2 of these, and I want them right about I want to get them lined up between the fins, so right about there looks good. And I'm going to use 2 of my largest rockets, and that is the kickback solid fuel boosters, the largest ones that I currently can use. Click them, make sure they placed correctly. Yes, they did. One thing I want to, I'm not sure if that's exactly where I want it. They're bigger than the whole craft. Wow. That's crazy. Actually, I want to place them a little bit lower because, as you can see, all the weight will be sitting on this engine. And I don't know if that engine will support that much weight. So instead of trial and error, I'm going to just... oh, wait, what am I doing? Move my decouplers down a bit. Like that. And replace those engines a little bit lower. Like that. There we go. So now all the weight's sitting on those engines. Lastly, for a little aerodynamics, add some nose cones. Oh shit, that didn't work. I had a couple of nose cones, and there we go. Am I missing anything? Let me think really quick. 2 engines. I actually want to fire that liquid engine at the same time. Decouple those two. Yeah, I think I got everything. Science Junior, got my batteries. At one time I did this, I forgot to put this battery pack in and testing. I did all this without a rechargeable battery in the solar panels, and I made it to the moon, and I could not get back because I didn't have battery power to position the aircraft for a burn back home. So that's the aircraft. I believe that will do it. Jebediah Kerman's going to pilot this rocket to success, and let's call this Moon Flight. I keep saying moon. I guess you could pronounce it moon, but it's M-U-N. Oh wait, I've already got one named that. That's right, one of my test flights. So let's call this the Mark 1 Moon Flight. And save it and launch. So, let's try this. Throttle up, turn our stability on, and lift off. Well, let this burn for a bit. Tilt it at just a bit of an angle here, and just kind of let it fly now. I'm going to throttle back. When I get to around 300 meters per second, I'm going to shut off the liquid engine and let just those solid rockets take over and do all the heavy lifting. I just use that liquid engine just to help it get off the surface and get it going. I am constantly having to tweak this because those rockets are wobbling. It's wobbling because those rockets are kind of overkill, and those decouplers cannot hold them steady. It starts to heat up. It's going so fast it starts to heat everything up, and it actually starts to damage the decouplers a bit. So got to separate those here in just a second. They run out of fuel. Fire our main engine again and start to flip. Roll the aircraft over to get into orbit. Man. Come on, roll over, roll over. We're almost there. Almost there. Alright, I'm going to kill the engines, pull up my orbit map, and this is what we're heading towards, 195,000 meters. Good grief, that's ridiculous. So I need to set a maneuver here. I need to get a orbit, let's see, that is going to get us into orbit here. Let's set a maneuver that's going to get us into orbit, I guess I should say. So basically this is a maneuver, what the game calls a maneuver node. And this allows you to set up a theoretical burn and show you what you would get into. That is a really, really high orbit. But let's see if I can tone that back a bit. Oh, that's too low, 17,000 meters. 144 and 195. Let's tweak that back just a bit. 123. 114, 109, and 194. I want it to be just under 100. There we go. No reason. That's just what I want. Alright, so line it back up. And so it gives you this blue marker to line up. That's what you want to line up for your burn. Line it up to that. And this is how long it's going to take. 53 seconds at full throttle to achieve this burn. To achieve the orbit we're looking for. And this is how long it's going to take to get to that point where we need to start the burn. It's actually not where we need to start it for several reasons. One is we've only got just a bit of fuel left in this rocket, so I'm going to go ahead and fire that now and burn that fuel off. There we go. And I'll start my next engine, and I'm just going to go ahead and start this burn early because it's now going to take 2 minutes on this engine because this engine does not produce nearly as much thrust as that other engine. So I'm going to go ahead and start the burn pretty early, at least a minute beforehand. That's the basic rule of thumb. You want to start your burn about half the time that it's going to take for the burn. So if it's a 1 minute burn, you want to start it 30 seconds before you get to the node. That's a basic rule of thumb. And it's because when the computer calculates that trajectory, it does it saying you reached maximum thrust instantly, whereas it actually takes a bit for you to achieve that thrust, to build up to that thrust point, that speed. Everything's looking good here. I'm going to speed this up just a... Nope, I can't. I'm under acceleration. I can't speed it up yet. We got another minute and 15, 13 seconds or so for this burn, so not much to do but sit here and wait for it to get into orbit. And once we get into orbit, we'll select the moon as our target and head for the moon. That's what we're doing today. Another 45 seconds on this burn, and we should see it. You'll see this gold, of course, is our theoretical trajectory that we're shooting for. The blue is our current trajectory. This white right here is a piece of space debris. There's another craft in orbit. We have a mission to rescue them, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to wait and do that mission later. I really want to, because it's a little more complicated in the way you have to set that up. This is just getting a couple of orbits together to go to the moon. So set this up. We're almost there. We got 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Okay, I stopped it just a hair early, and that's going to hit us at 71,000 on our low side, our Parapsis, and 189,000 on our high side. So that's a good orbit. That's a fair orbit. So now we are in orbit. We have achieved orbit. Let's select the moon and set it as our target. Alright, that's a pretty good point to stop it at here, guys. We've achieved orbit, and the next thing we want to do is set up our trajectory to the moon. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the videos, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. I post a new video every day. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you again next time.